Okay, we are live. We are live. We are live. What's up, beautiful people? So, if any of you, what time is it? 3:49. Okay, if any of you were just available for the past life regression that I just did with Shauretta, 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 Shauretta. Many of you saw what happened. Okay, it was something to be. It was a first time for me um, to have experienced what I did. I think it was absolutely amazing, absolutely beautiful. And I say that because as I think back on trying to get her um, under the state where we needed to be to have the past life regression, the more I realized it, the more I realized that, yo, the shit we be doing, these healers out here, the shit we be doing, past life regressionists, hypnotherapists, whatever the frick you want to call yourself, injury. Okay. What I've realized is that we is constantly learning, constantly moving these pieces around where they needs to be. Okay. And I love it. Okay. I finally caught one. You caught one, yes, girl. You what's up, T? Listen, we move these pieces, and sometimes we don't even know what we're moving these pieces to. Okay. I just want to say, as a past life regressionist, I love what I do. Because I can't even say that enough. I'm thankful and I'm grateful for the universe, for all the collective consciousness, for all the higher selves that come in contact with all the inner children, with all the energies, all of them, every bit of them, uh, the angelic team that come in, the ancestors that come through. I'm mother freaking thankful and grateful. One, they trust me. They know my ethics. I don't fuck around. They know that when they come here, when they come here, we're going to get her done, whatever it needs to be. Now, I could be on my, hold on, y'all, hold on. I just feel like my little camera needs a little swipey swipe. No matter gratitude for the flow. Yes, girl, gratitude. No matter what needs to be done, I'm gonna get her done. So what does that mean? Okay, so for example, we had the session that we just had, right? We just had the session, and it was supposed to be a past life regression. It was not a past life regression. It was not a healing. It was a revelation. Yo, I love what I do. So when I'm in my zone, y'all, and I'm pushing forward, pushing, moving shit, pushing, moving shit, pushing, moving shit. I'm in a whole conjuring space. Did y'all realize that? Hell, I didn't even realize it till just now. Pushing, moving, stirring, like all of that. I get to contact and connect with what I'm supposed to. So, this is a review of Shauretta's past life regression that we just did. Okay. That shit was an emotional roller coaster for a minute. Once we connected, it took a long time. It took a long time. Yo, my sessions are usually anywhere from 3 to 6 hours. Like, who I don't never know what's gonna happen. I don't never know, baby. I don't never know. But today, when let me make sure my thing is up loud enough. Oh, yeah, I could turn it up some more. Today, when I started her space while I'm asking questions, the interview space, I realized that, she didn't have any memories that she could give me. Not really. They were so vague. Let me say this. When shit get vague for me in them spaces, I already know. It's like team like, here we go. Dead ass. Like I have a whole past life regression panel of guides that assist me. And more than anything, they're like, don't give up on them. And I don't. You be patient, and I will and am. And just give them some grace and space. And I do. And that is, if I didn't show it any other time, today it showed up and showed out with the grace and space. Okay. Because it first started when we had our Zoom and we were trying to get connected. She kept popping off, and not popping off her picture from being on camera versus the little circle that just kept popping in and out. And I had to let her know that I need to be able to see you 100% of the time because I need to see what's going on. In case you guys didn't know, when I'm doing these sessions, I'm watching breathing, I'm watching the body, I'm watching everything. Over here, I'm like, even though I might be back here like, I'm over up here like, you know, I'm watching everything because that's important. So I needed to be one because we're virtual. So I need to be up front, especially if an individual is by themselves. I need to be able to bring them up and out, right? Up and I need to bring them out if I need to, right? Because I'm not right there where I can just, shake them or whatever. So that's important. So if you think about it, when we started her session, it was taking a long time to get her under, but I just stood fast because I knew that this was supposed to happen for whatever reason. What something was supposed to come up. I already knew this because in the interview part, her answers were so vague. They were so vague. I was like, well, I ain't really gotten. I mean, I don't really have much to work on. But here's the thing: when I'm answering these questions and doing that kind of shit, the answer, the question and answering that's not for me. That's for the higher self, for the inner child. That stuff is for the higher self and the inner child. It could feel like a therapy session, right? And I think that's what it's supposed to kind of be like. But technically, it is for the higher self and for the inner child. So when I'm not getting anything, because this assists them on where to go. But for hers, we can go nowhere, not now, never place. Okay? Other than have a conversation that we were supposed to have with whom we were supposed to have the conversations with. So if you saw that past life regression, you already know it took a minute. But it started out with not being able to get connected. Like we would get connected and then her camera would go off and back on and go off and back on. So I said, okay, well, what do you want to do? And she was there with a friend. She was there with Leticia because they live. And this past life regression, by the way, was with a client in Ghana. Okay, number two, Leticia's was in Ghana, and then Shauretta's was in Ghana. Shauretta, yeah, Shaurita's was in Ghana. That was today. Now, so we talking about all across the freaking globe, right? But I knew when we were having issues with connecting with the Zoom, I knew that that wasn't like the VPN kind of a thing. I said it. I said, well, maybe it's the VPN because I noticed with Jamaica and with Leticia, we did have a little bit of struggle. However, this struggle was different. It was like she pop in, then the camera will go out. She pop in and the camera will go out. She pop in and the camera will go out. That just can't be a constant right there. So I was like, So whenever I'm in the zone, my team is always with me. So I might be internally in my mind's eye asking questions, right? I mean, I say I'm out loud. You guys will get to hear that. So with that being said, I was like, okay, what can we do? I said, can you switch from phone to cameras? We even have we went from phone to camera. I mean, from phone to laptop. We went from that laptop to Leticia's phone. Like we was all over the place trying to get this working. It was like, no, ma'am, no, ham. God damn, it's a no. Okay. So with that being said, it was like, what you gonna do? And I was like, man, I don't want to have to give it up right now because, okay, what we gonna do? Let's just go live. Y'all know I'm for a live time. There's some reason why I don't like the live, and then there's some reasons why I do like the live. And I'm not going to even discuss either one of them, but they have it has their druthers. Okay. So what we did was we went ahead and went live. We came live and boom, there we go. We're good to go. No problems with anything. Right. Does that mean that was what I was supposed to do? No. We're leading into that. So as we move on into the session, and I'm trying to get her to go under, finally we do get there. And I could tell when she was deep too, because her ass was stiff. She ain't freaking blinked, didn't move, didn't do nothing. I can usually tell how much deep I need to go with because we had already set the seed prior to going live. We had already set that seed of some things. Uh, I knew that she wouldn't have a problem going under, but I was just trying to figure out what was going on. Am I glowing, boo? Because okay, then, all right, then, okay. What's up, Kim? So as we're going live, I'm realizing that you know what? What's happening here? So finally, I get the inner child to come forward. Higher self wouldn't come through. No guides came through. Guides was like, we're going to let them handle that. We're going to let them handle that. And I was like, okay, all right. So finally, the inner child came through, y'all. Now it took a minute though. It was like really, I'm gonna use the word safeguarded. Once I got the inner child, I could tell, first of all, at one point I was like, is there an attachment there holding her back? But I didn't get that. But I was like, I was trying to figure that out, right? I mean, see, that's when you're doing this work, you got to figure it out. That's it ain't no book. You ain't got no book to go through. And it ain't a certain amount of uh, training you go through. It's hands on. Girl, it's hands on. Okay, you got to be about that life, which means you got to figure it out. Sometimes that's these conversations you got to have and asking these questions. You got to dig and you got to move. So finally, I asked, whatever, whoever's there, I need you to come forward. And finally, I began to see something. So I had already asked inner child and higher self. I had already asked them, but they was like not moving. They weren't budging. Like what was happening? And I could tell the way Shauretta was moving. She was trying to get out of the way. She was trying her best to get out of the way. Inner child was like, "Oh, it's Auntie Boujee." Okay, so it took a minute. Tanya took a minute for her to connect. So finally, inner child came through, and I was able. Once I got her to speak, I knew that I would be in a place where I could get some information. So finally, I asked Shaurita's inner child, was this supposed to be? Y'all, thank y'all for y'all thumbs up. Thank you for the, thank you. I appreciate it. I asked the inner child, was this session supposed to happen today? No, no, no. Before we even got there, before the inner child finally came through, there was this cry. It happened twice. Like it was uncontrollable cry. And I was trying to decipher who is crying. Who is crying? Is it the inner child? Is it the higher self? Is it Shauretta? I was trying to figure that out. So if y'all pay attention y'all will see me looking. I'm all up in it because sometimes there's a characteristic that you could tell that it's the inner child if it's the higher self. It's just something that I've learned to know, right? So I'm trying to figure this out. At this point, I realize it is not an attachment. That's not what's going on. Someone is there, and I'm trying to figure out who it is. Higher self hardly ever cries unless there is really something at the seat of the soul, right? Usually it is the inner child. All right. So with that being said, I asked the inner child, just go ahead and get that out, release that. That's important. Let it out, let it out. So that happened twice. It's okay. Oh, my love, it's okay. And I knew then that what entered my mind was trauma. Trauma entered my mind. So I asked the inner child, I asked, after it did some releasing a couple of times. I mean, she was kind of bawling, y'all. It was beautiful. A release is always good. So I asked the inner child finally. I was like, inner child, is this session supposed to take place today? And it took a little minute, but she finally said no. And I asked her to repeat that because I was trying to be clear. She said no. And I asked her why. And then finally she told me that she's not ready, meaning Shauretta, she's not ready. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I asked, well, can you tell me what this is around? She finally did say it was trauma. But see, I kind of knew that from the very beginning when I was asking questions. Usually I ask you guys questions about your past. I start from your earliest memory that you have in your life, period. And then I go from there. But when she couldn't really give me anything outside of like the elementary 5 or 6 year old, she had this amazing memory that she had, which I ain't gonna speak on here because I want to bring that up when she has the actual session. When I started to ask her about her school age, she couldn't. She was like drawing a blank, and I was like you got nothing to give me. She was like, well, no. And I think at first she thought I was meaning like gift wise. And I was like, no, no, no. I mean, like, what's your earliest gift? She couldn't give me anything for elementary. She couldn't give me anything for middle school. College, she talked about something about a professor. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out what the heck, why can't I got nothing. I got nothing. But remember, the questions that I'm asking are not for me. That part is not for me. That's for inner child because this begins to be the foundation of where we're going to go, what's going to happen, possibly what lifetime we could go to. Is giving the inner self, the higher child, the higher self, inner child. But today, it was as if the inner child was in control, right? So after I got that information from her, and then I got the higher self to come through. And then I asked the higher self, I think I asked the higher self, was this session supposed to take place today? Was she in agreement with now y'all, and I always say she because if of course if it's a female, of course the higher self is usually that. It could be genderless, but not really, not normally. So I asked the higher self, was she in agreement with the inner child about not having the session today? And she said yes. And I was like, okay, is there a reason why? She gave the same reason why, that she's not ready, meaning Shauretta is not ready for what will be revealed. Now, I want you to take note of this. She's not ready. It didn't say she's not ready for uh, X, Y, and Z. It said she's not ready. That meant it didn't matter what lifetime I attempted to take her to, there was trauma. So, probably pretty much most of her lifetimes, even if she did have some amazing things happen, it was trauma filled. And any of that, she would not have been able to handle once we come out, which means that there were some things that needed to be dealt with first. So, I wanted to talk about that. Your inner child and your higher self, they fucking know. And listen, I have seen a past life hypnotherapist talk to a higher self, and they be like, "No, bitch, we don't even know you, and we ain't got shit to say to you." Right? I saw that. I saw a video like that myself, and we ran right into that today. And I say this to say, any of you that have a past life regression with me, if there's something that the higher self or the inner child does not want revealed, baby, it ain't gonna be. Okay. That they were in full protection mode. I mean, straight up full protection mode today. They was not revealing. They wouldn't even allow me move to hula hoop to move around because they were in protection mode because she would not have been able to handle. So they have to do work with her first. And matter of fact, they said she's not gonna be able to do anything for a couple of months. Listen, this is how powerful the seat of the soul. This is how powerful the consciousness is. It knows. I don't care how much work we do. She ain't gonna be ready for at least a couple of months. If then, if then, okay. Now I'm gonna tell you why that's so beautiful because they know her makeup. They know the past lives that she, at least the higher self does, the past lives that she has lived. Nine, sister ext point. It knows it knows what she can handle. So therefore, it won't allow anything to take place that would be of a disturbance of her peace. Think how powerful that is. Your higher self saying, "Hey, Boujee, I mean, we know you good and everything, but yeah, we ain't doing it today. It ain't gonna happen, boo." In fact, I asked the inner child. I asked the inner child, "Do you trust me?" Then I asked. It said yes. Then I asked the higher self, like the seat of the soul, nigga. That's the one right there. You need to be checking in. It ain't necessarily the inner child, but it's definitely the higher self. It's been there forever, through all the lifetimes. So if you better be checking in with anybody, you need to be checking in with that one. Okay. Higher self, do you trust me? Yes. So it's not a trust factor. I asked the higher self, was it comfortable? Was Shauretta comfortable where she was with uh Leticia, because that's where they were at her place. Was she comfortable there? And they said yes. So it had nothing to do with environment. It had nothing to do with the person who was facilitating. Boujee, don't take it personally. It ain't about you. Okay. They let me know that. Not in those terms, but that's what they was letting me know because that's what I was asking. Is it not me that's supposed to do it? Because sometimes it ain't even you supposed to be doing it because you be acting up. And so they be like, you whole human over there, like, nah, you can't dip over here. Like it's a no. Okay. But when the higher self and inner child agree that we trust you, it's not you. It's what's going on behind the scenes, right? So you have to. I had to ask those questions. See, in my mind, if I'm not asking the questions, my team is pushing them questions straight through to me. Just ask her this. Here you go. Here you go. Right. So because they were in full protection mode, I don't care who she had a conversation with about her past. Ain't shit coming up. Ain't nothing coming out. Leticia, the best friend, she was there. Maybe she was taking care. She was coddling like a mug, and I appreciate her for that. So, with that being said, when you're under hypnosis, if the higher self and or the inner child do not want to F with you, it ain't gonna happen. Okay. They might allow some little things to come up, but they're very insignificant. But what you're looking for, if they want it on lockdown, you ain't going to get it. You ain't going to. Okay. Now, that's a beautiful thing because if it's a person who fears something might come up that they don't want anybody to know, maybe it's because they're on camera, maybe it could be even in private. Maybe they don't really fully trust the person, but they want something to come up. They want some kind of healing. They need something resolved. They need some type of visual information to come forth, something. They're only going to allow you to have what little bit of pieces that they think you need. Like they're not going to give you what you want, but they will give you some pieces that they think she can handle and he or she can handle and or need. And that was a prime example of today. Let's see. Tanya said, wow, wow. They are there constantly loving us into alignment. So she's got work to do. And she knows that. So we couldn't have a session today. And that's a beautiful thing too, because the inner self and the inner child and higher self respected me enough to let me know it ain't you, boo. Which I already know. When a person cannot go into hypnosis, it's usually not the person who is taking them under. It is normally them, whether it's trust issues, whether it's issues of things not wanting to know or they don't know, and higher self or inner child do know, and it's been coddled and buried and all that, and they ain't the vessel himself itself doesn't even know, right? No matter what it is, it's never you the reason why the person can't go up under hypnosis. Because we had a time getting her under. But when we finally did, they stepped. See, the safer they feel, the more comfortable they feel the vessel being. That vessel will be the person who is going up under hypnosis. The safer they feel, the closer you get to something, right? But as they felt me getting ready to, step all the way back and just bring her back, that's when one of them came forward. And I could feel that. And I asked, who is there? Because I knew someone was there. One of them was present. So when they wouldn't fully present, when I was asking, I was like, okay, let me go ahead on this. Let's go ahead and end this. That's when they needed to. I felt like they, out of respect, they wanted to give me something to go on, to give her something to go on. And that's what happened. So the inner child finally came forward, and I was so relieved, right? I was so relieved because not for me, because I felt like Shauretta needed to know, right? And once the inner child let me know, no, we can't do this, can't do it right now. And then once the inner child let me know, it would be about 2 months. 2 months. Somebody would think, then that's a long time. Not really. In 2 months is probably where she might be before she could have the session. But they're going to work together. The inner child and the higher self will work together with her behind the scenes, in her sleep, in her dreams, in her waking moments, etc. They may give her pieces. They're just checking for her to release some more around some things. So maybe little pieces that had come up that Sharita did not even mention, those pieces will start to come together for her. And then she will see where she is. And this is a very important thing because when you're working with the consciousness, when you're working with that, you have to be very gentle and you have to be very knowledgeable. When I say not necessarily training, but I'm talking about connection, baby, connection. If there's no connection between the person and the person who's facilitating, there's no connection between the inner child and the person who's facilitating, and there's no connection between the higher self and the person who's facilitating, nigga, you can hang it up. It ain't gonna happen. What's happening? Nothing. Okay? You are dead end. It's a whole brick wall. You just hang it up. So we're gonna have to come back at a later date, 2 or more months at some point in time, and get that done. And I was instructed to give that to her for free. Now, if you've had a past life regression from me and you didn't get to go under, your session is probably going to cost you. Because this one they told me to allow her to have this next session for free. Now, if somebody else has to come back, yes, but they're probably going to have to pay for theirs. And I mean, but just you think about it. Most people who have this session, if they don't go under, they either get some kind of healing or they get some kind of information. They get something, right? And I feel like that hers was a special case where they don't want me to charge her for that, and I'm okay with that. Um, What else? Do y'all have any questions about anything about the session, whether you got to see it or didn't get to see it? Do y'all have any questions about that? Do you have any questions about the higher self, the inner child, just blocking, like, no, you ain't coming. Don't come for us if we ain't send for you. Just don't. Okay. Do y'all have any questions? Anybody got any questions about that? It was a beautiful session. So this was not a healing. This was not a past life regression. It was a revelation. It was a revelation to let one, the vessel, who was the client, Shauretta, to let her know that you're not ready for what's going to be revealed. We got to work on it. And I also let me talk about this too. It was funny because her friend, uh, Leticia, she was the first person to get a past life regression from me, and I knew she was going to be first because she's always on all my lives. She's always responded. I knew she was going to be first, and she was. Now they're friends. Why didn't her best friend? Because she had already reached out to me. Hey, my best friend want to get a session done to Boujee, and I was like, okay, fine. So it wasn't until after the session today that Shauretta let me know. Shauretta. See, I'm always I'm going back and forth because I think it's Shauretta. It is Shauretta. Shauretta said in the beginning she had trouble booking the session. When she went to the page, something happened. She couldn't. So she just, okay, I'll come back. Then when she came back, all the spaces were taken up except for towards the end. So 'cause I was trying to figure out if y'all friends, y'all both should have kind of got them around the same time. But here you are, she got hers done in the very beginning, first number one, first one, and you the third from the last to getting yours. I only have two more to go my volunteers, and so then we put that together. This was happening because of the inner child and the higher self didn't want it to happen right now. So she booked way out here in April instead of up there in what, January, February, whichever one I started. So then I began to ask, okay, she said, and then something would come up with the questions. Like I couldn't quite figure out questions. So it was all over the place for her over there. And she didn't know why. But now she knows. We put those two together. We put those two together. And I think I asked a question in the live. Was this the reason why she couldn't book before she took so long to book? And the answer was yes. Okay. Okay. Tanya said, what was her response to what happened? Tanya, can you clarify or what didn't happen? Tanya, can you clarify that question for me? What was her response to what did or what didn't happen? You talking about as far as her being able to have the session? Is that what you're saying? Now, I will say, Shauretta did say that when uh, I asked her, did she feel the inner child moving forward? She said she felt pressures if it was coming up. So, usually it's kind of like y'all switch places, you hear, and then they switch place. Like, okay, if this is you back here, and this is one of the guides or whoever it is speaking, when it's time for you to move forward, y'all switch places, right? And then they go back and forth. So that's kind of what it looks like. So she said she did feel pressure as if, the inner child was trying to come forward, but then she would kind of, it's kind of like a back and forth. It was a struggle. And I asked her, um, I asked her, could she tell that the inner child was trying to come forward? And she said, yes. She also could feel when the baby soul was trying to come forward. So here's what's happening. Let's talk about the baby soul and the inner child and the higher self. Baby souls gonna come up and baby souls have nothing to lose because they're there for your elevation anyway. So I wanted to ask the baby soul something about its name that the mother wanted to know, Shauretta. However, they knew, they knew if baby soul comes through, baby soul, their whole thing is assistance in elevation. So they don't care if they blab off and say the reason why that she can't move forward is because the traumatization. They knew that, right? So the baby soul was kind of like suppressed from coming forward. Now, let's be clear, baby souls are very powerful energies, right? They don't need permission. But it was out of respect for mommy. It was out of respect for mommy that they didn't really fight to come forward, right? Because if you watch that video, you literally could see the baby soul trying to come forward. But then it just kind of just, all right. It was out of respect for mommy, out of respect for higher self in the job that I'm sorry, out of respect for inner child and out of respect for the job that the higher self does and Is able to maneuver and or not and stop anything from moving forward, right? Baby soul just like, oh, okay. Sorry, Boujee. Any other time I love to talk to your ass, but yeah, I can't right now. You know how it go. Oh girl. Yeah. Okay. Tanya said, how did she feel about not flowing through the PLR process? And her team said, not right now. She didn't have a problem with it. Once I brought her to, she understood because she heard, she can hear the inner child saying why we can't move forward. And I asked her, did she see anything? Was she able to pick up anything? Because sometimes you'll get these little flashes of visuals when they're present. But she didn't get any of that. She just felt, it something coming up, which was uh, release of trauma from the inner child. Now, the higher self didn't necessarily probably present any of that because it's always neutral in what's needed to happen. So it's not usually one that's going to be in an emotional state unless it needs to be, right? It is in full on protection mode. First of all, it's taken, always constantly taking inventory of what's going on the outside of the vessel and what's going on the inside of the vessel. So that's its main job, to stay in tune with that. And it's not a lot of hard work for because it does it naturally, right? So when Shauretta finally said that she could feel the inner, she could feel the baby soul trying to come up. Now I will tell you that if the baby soul would have connected, absolutely 100%, it would have been, because it is there for elevation and for the mother's elevation by choosing one another. The inner child, on the other hand, based on the lifetime, it could be where, ooh, we went through trauma here, and that inner child may decide to tell a little bit or none, and it knows how to keep quiet based on what happened to her when she was younger. Could be neglect, it could be anything, right? Okay, just use that as an example. None of that came up, but I'm shooting that as an example. Okay, the baby souls would tell, the baby soul ain't got no problem telling that in the inner child and the higher self knew that. So therefore, as the baby soul began, you could literally see the baby soul attempting to come forward, but it was a no. So yes, Shauretta understood, and she was thankful because of their protection over her, right? Because she has to go on about her everyday, day to day movement. So they will work through that. So that's kind of where we at. Yep. Anybody else got any questions? Questions? Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, let's see. Um, so we've got two more sessions to go. Um, we've got two more to go. We got Samantha and we've got Ace. Those are the two that are left. Okay. That is very powerful. We got two sessions to go, and then I'll start taking uh, uh, appointments for past life regression sessions. Two different kinds. Would you go out there and you take a look? Now, if you had a reading from me and you posted, if you had a reading from me and you gave a review, I'm going to give you, if you have the big past life regression, the one is $350. If you did that one and you gave me a review, I'm going to give you your past life regression for $250. That's $100 off. Okay, off the big one. Now, if you have just the regular past life regression, the one that's just the regression, there won't be any me taking you to the Akasha. There won't be taking no Q&A from your guides, etc. There won't be any of that. You won't be going to the council. You just get to see your past life regression. What happened? That's it. Now, there is healing within that because you get to see something about you that you didn't know. I'm not going to go over what your gifts are. None of that. You just going to get a plain past life regression. And for some people, that's all they need. That one is $250. Now, I will take off $50 and give that one to you for $200 if I had a reading with you and you posted a review. That means I can see all of your reviews from my scheduling. And if you had a review for your reading, So if you had 3 readings from me, I should have 3 reviews from you. Okay. So all of your readings that you have from me, if you had one, did you give me a review for that? Okay. Those reviews are important for me and to me, just like the things that you want when you come to see me. Okay. So if I read for you 5 times and I have 5 reviews from you, you'll get that discount. Otherwise, it's the regular price. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Um, Tanya said, it's amazing and assuring to know how your team has everything about in consideration. That's love and protection. Listen, they were so loving to her. And at one moment when she was kind of teary, I was kind of getting teary. I was like, whew, hold on, but we almost done. Just hold tight. So it was amazing to see how the higher self, the higher self and the inner child is very protective of you. So that's also reassuring to those who have a past life regression to know if they don't want something to come up and out, nigga, it ain't gonna come up and out. If it's something that you don't want to come up and out and they spill the beans on it, that means you need a healing from it. That means you need some understanding about it. That means you need a visualization on what happened. Or that means you need to connect to the experience because whatever it is that you experience in this life and or not is due to that past life, because the one that you need the most healing from is the one that's going to come forward, and then in the next level, and then the next level, until there aren't any, until you're in a really good space. Okay. All right, y'all. That's all I have for y'all. Y'all got any questions for me about Shauretta's past life regression? Because yeah, the higher self and inner child they didn't want to give a name at the time. And see, a lot of times they know. They get to talking to Boujee girl. She got 10, 50,000 questions, baby. We be done messed up and like, oops, what just happened? So they didn't want to give a name or anything like that. And that was fine. And at that time, I was supposed to, once again, get the pronunciation of Leticia's name. And once again, I forgot. And that's just because this was where we were. So maybe that wasn't supposed to come up at that time. So that's it, y'all. That's all I got for y'all. It was a beautiful session. I'm thankful and I'm grateful that she was able to get what she did get from that. And that was that the trauma that she had gone through in a past lifetime and or this lifetime, she was not going to be able to handle. And the mind knows, the higher self, the consciousness, the seed, so it knows. It's just like if we no, we cannot do. And it didn't have anything to do with being on camera because we had the opportunity to do it on the Zoom, which is she and I. No, it wasn't happening there either. So then we went live. So it was just a no altogether. It was just no, not right now. And this is what happened when when your team pretty much says no, not right now. Okay. And I love that. I love that. Okay. So it just means she's got some inner work to do. Sometimes it's disappointing because you, the vessel, wants to know these things. Like, why can't I know this? Okay, yeah, I'm gonna cry. People cry all the time in these regressions. Now it ain't about that. I'm pissed and I'm mad. No, it ain't about that because a lot of them you pissed and you mad, right? But it's the healing that comes with that. This was deeper. Like this is not just like I'm hurt and I'm mad and I'm pissed. This is more than that. Okay. So because we know that, we have to work with that and we have to respect that. And I'm all about that. And they know my integrity. I'm not going to dig more than I could have kept digging, but no, we're gonna meet her right where she is. And we're gonna meet y'all, higher self, inner child. We're gonna meet y'all right where you at. And whenever she's ready, we'll go forward and I'll be ready. You know? Okay, y'all. I guess that's it. That's all. That was the review for Shauretta. I don't know why I want to, is there's no A there. It's Shure. But Shauretta's past life regression, actually, that is one what we'll call a revelation. So we have revelations. And now I'm learning this. Things that are revealed as to why or why not. And then we have the healing as to what needs to be healed before you can have the session. And then we have the past life regression session, right? So as you think about some of the past life regression sessions that I've done, that you've seen, you'll notice the ones who can just move smoothly through it or who move through it with emotion that's needed because there's healing there, right? And then you watch the ones who move through there with healing, and maybe there's not a lot of release or crying or etc. And that's okay too. So everybody is being met where they are, and it's just so y'all. I just love this so much. And I just loved it. So I'm just constantly learning. It's just a beautiful mother freaking thing. Okay. All right, you. Love, 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 love to your journey, BOG. Yes, yes. All right, y'all. That's all I got for y'all. I thank you for coming. And oh, and if you haven't seen Kim's her session, hers was of pure healing. That's it. That's all. She have to have her session at another time. So hers was healing, and there was a lot to learn there. There was a lot to take in on that one as well. So, like I said, to hire yourself in the inner child, they'll let you know. And hers was a slow go too. Hers was hard to get her up to speed. I finally posted hers, and I think hers ended up being two. Was hers 2 hours? Yes, hers was 2 hours out of the four. Whenever I'm posting these now, I just ask the team how much of this need to be posted, and they let me know. So based on what they need to be posted, that's what I post. Um, what was I gonna say about hers? Oh, the deeper we went with Kim's, they let me know she's at a 5, she's at a 6, she's at a 8. She's ready now. But it wasn't that she was ready for the past life regression. She was ready for the healing to take place. And that, of course, Kim's had an attachment. She had 3 chakras that was out of alignment. One at 8%, one at, I think, 55%. And I think the other one maybe at 50%. So they were all, one was limping, and then the other two, they needed, we operational, but the one that was limping at the 11%, it had not been at full capacity since she was 18. Now, just think about 18 to you got kids is practically grown. There was some definite healing that needed taken. And I was so glad to be able to facilitate. Like, I just, like, who knows? Who knew that you could talk to a whole chakra unless you're a Reiki master? They know that, of course. But when you having a full on, I'm talking to you right now, we having a full on conversation with the chakras, and they telling me, "Oh, what's up? What happened? What happened? Why you limping? Or why you at less than 100% capacity?" They let you know that. Like, I'm so grateful and thankful. Like, what? When people think of chakras, they think about the chart that they see on the internet, the colors. That's all they think about. They don't think about the living energy that they really are. They don't. They're just most people don't fathom that. They have these chakras, but they didn't know people could talk to the chakras. Okay. Me either. But we did and do. All right, y'all. Peace and gratitude. If y'all don't have any additional questions about, yeah, any of you, if you saw Kim's past life regression, do you have any questions about her, since hers was the last one that I posted up? Y'all got any questions about that? Intibati. Next up, we got next Saturday coming up. We got no next person up is next person up is Ace. Ace is on the 13th, and then Samantha has moved from the 22nd, the 5th, and now to the 19th. Oh God. We got 2 left. That's it. That's all. So once again, if you had a session with me, now, if you had a reading with me, if you ever had a reading for me, and you sent me a review, and I can see the review, which I would be because I'm the one who makes them visible. I can make them hidden or visible. Of course, why wouldn't I make them all visible? They're all visible. If you had 3 readings for me and you sent me a review, then if you on the big quantum healing and past life regression, I'll take 100 off of that, which means instead of it being 350, it would be 250. And the smaller one that is 250, I'll take 50 off of it if that's the one that you want. Some people go with what their pockets can afford, and I say, well, if you want the big one, then you should save for it, whatever you want to do. And that's all I got for y'all. Okay. I hope y'all have a beautiful day. It's been amazing. I am going to put together the meeting of the spirit guides. We're going to have a session with multiple people going into hypnosis at the same time, having conversations with their spirit guide. We're going to talk to each one, and we're just going to let that take whatever time that we need to take for that. It's going to be beautiful. I feel it already. So sometime later today, I'm going to post on all my social media if you're interested in that. And if you are, you need to make sure that you send me a DM with your email address and your if it's for example, if it's on YouTube and you follow me and you want to attend and have a conversation with your spirit guides, you need to say so in the post that you want to have that, and then send me well, just to let me know there, and then I'll tell you in the message. I reply to you. Send me your email address. If it's on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, once you see the post, if you want to uh, attend the meet your spirit guides, have a conversation with them. There's questions. That means there's questions that you want to ask your spirit guides. Now, depending on how many people, then we'll have to limit the number of questions. Okay. However, everybody going to hypnosis at the same time that you get to ask your questions of your spirit guides. It's going to be anywhere from three or more that will be in attendance. I would like to say three because there's going to be you, one here, one here, one here, right? But nigga, what's to say there's going to be you, one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, a full circle? I don't even know. But a minimum of three will be in attendance, right? This has been given to me to guide to have this session, right? And I'm super excited about this shit right here, like for real. I don't even know what that's going to look like. But when we get there, we'll see it, okay? So, with that being said, I hope y'all have a beautiful day. It's been rainy, tornado-ish here, and thunderstorm and flooding, and it just Mother Gaia, Mother Nature. They've just shifting shit around, so it just is what it is. We just work through it, right? We just work through it. But so many blossoms and blooms are coming out. Yesterday, I was out collecting cleavers because I want to do some cleaver. What do you call that stuff? Tincture. Okay. So I went and got some of that stuff. So I'm gonna chop it up and everything. I'm gonna make some of that. That's all I got for y'all. All right, Tanya. All right. Worldwide, worldwide, worldwide. All right, y'all. Peace. I'm out. Y'all have a beautiful day.